The gas man counted the 20s a second time before he folded them and put them into the pocket of his overalls. Then he started to turn away, but stopped and added, "Sell you some ammunition for those? I got no use for it." "People leave you cartridges, too?" The gas man chuckled. "Nah, just one. Fella had a whole case full of it. All kinds. Guess he was a collector or something. I'll give it to you for half the marked price." "I'm not really interested," he said. "I wasn't out here on a hunting trip, you know. But I'll take a box of each if it's not too old." "About a year, no more." He was already bent over a crate in the corner, reading the small cardboard boxes he pulled out one by one until he'd found what he wanted. "Let's see. That'll be $11. When he paid the gas man and took the 2 cartridge boxes, he noticed the date on them was almost 3 years ago, but he'd only looked out of curiosity. It made no difference. At the car, he set the rifle and the cartridge boxes in the trunk, taking only the Beretta and a dozen rounds into the front with him. He glanced at his watch as he pulled out onto the highway. Only 25 minutes. Less time than it would have taken to fill out the papers in Los Angeles. There was only one problem left, and that was where to put the car. It had to be available, close to Caesar's, and in a place where it would attract no notice. If you put it that way, there was no choice. He glided up the drive in front of Caesar's Palace, pulled to a stop in the middle of the only part of the parking lot that was still crowded at this hour, and got out. He opened the trunk as far as he could without letting the light on, loaded the rifle by the light of the moon, jammed it into the wheel well beside the spare tire so it pointed to the rear, and closed the trunk. He was in the hotel's back hallway a moment later, skirting the casino and shops and taking the back stairway to his room. There was no sign that anything had been moved. His clothes were still in a heap on the floor by the door, and the television was still glittering noiselessly into the darkness, throwing colored shadows across the crumpled white sheets of the bed. There was little chance anyone knew he had been out, and whatever searching they were going to do had been done early in the evening. He had managed to build himself an edge. Not much of an edge, just a car and some guns that they wouldn't know about. But then he probably wouldn't need an edge. He was on vacation. He loaded the pistol, went to his bag, and took out 6 large Band-Aids. He used them to tape the pistol tightly to the wall inside the closet above the doorway, the one spot where nobody ever looked. Then he took his pocket knife and cut a thin slit in the lining of his left coat sleeve just above the cuff, and pushed the 2 car keys into it. It wasn't much of an edge, he thought, but at least it was enough to let him go to sleep. It was almost 5 in the morning, and it had been a long day for a man who wasn't working.